Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate in on the discussion, you can join me during my live streams, which I usually do at 4 p.m. most weekdays, 4 p.m. Central Time most weekdays, or outside of my live stream, you can consider joining the Discord I created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. Many times I get asked what kind of foods I'm eating to lose weight. So we created a Pinterest board that has a lot of our favorite whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free meals. That is down below if you're interested in that. Today is day 676 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. And it's day 9 of my diet reset. So far, throughout my 676 days that I have been dieting, I have gone from 519.8 pounds to 311.6. So I've lost over 200 pounds in the past 2 years. My ultimate goal is to get under 219.8 pounds. I have a little over 13 months left to get there. I'm looking forward to reaching my goal and maintaining a healthy weight for the rest of my life. Pretty Girl's mom checking in saying, howdy, hey, Fun Friday is here. You bet. So let's switch over to this. I hope everybody had a great evening. I got home yesterday and got some much needed grass cutting done. I still have a lot of grass to cut, but there was some spots that really had been neglected. I have a decently large yard, so it takes some time to do all of my yard or cut all of it. And there's a few areas that are kind of out of sight, out of mind. So I definitely needed to get those taken care of. So I spent some time yesterday on the mower. We had my son had Boy Scouts, so I went with him to Boy Scouts. He is working on doing a physical fitness merit badge, or working on improving their fitness. And as part of the whole thing, they have been, they have to run the mile. They have to test how many sit-ups and how many push-ups they can do. And they've been doing the practice miles a decent amount. You do it, the whole thing is a 12-week thing. They have them run the mile to start, and then they run it at week 4, week 8, and then week 12. And he just ran his week 8 mile. But it's funny to me because it's this big thing for us, for him to run a mile and him to practice doing the mile. And the whole time I've read these books in the past couple of years, Born to Run, and the Rich Roll book, Finding Ultra. And I think of how funny it is that this running 1 mile, how much difficulty it is for him. And for me, it would be even more difficult to run a mile. And then the idea of running a mile, he hasn't even run a mile every week. He's running it every 4 weeks. But when I remember back when I was in elementary school, running the mile was the big thing. Like, you had to run the mile And that was the biggest or longest physical activity that you really did as far as a test or a gauge of where you were at. And so it's interesting working with him too, because he has no frame of reference on how to run or how to run any type of distances. They kind of teach them some things in school, but there's so many kids, they can't give each kid his own private lessons on how to run or how to pace themselves. And so I'm happy that I've had this opportunity to work with him, because yesterday, one of the goals that we worked on was running consistently and keeping a good pace and not sprinting and then slowing down and then or using all your energy right away, but setting kind of a goal and trying to do each lap in a certain amount of time. And it's funny, as I'm talking about this, I'm really realizing how much that there is parallels with dieting, and also some other things that I wanted to talk about later. So I might come back to talking more about this, I guess. I'm gonna switch over real quick to what I've eaten since yesterday. Then I'm gonna go over a couple new things here. So so yesterday got the grass cut, did the Boy Scout thing, and then that was about most of the afternoon. For dinner yesterday, we had one of our staples, or one of my favorite things that we have, and that is Mega Veggie Chili. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up on the screen. It was interesting with the Mega Veggie Chili because Carrie was not home when I got home, and the food was ready when I got home. So I ate some before she got home. And so there's a picture of the Mega Veggie Chili. Lots of wonderful ingredients in there. We have corn and carrots. There's some celery, some beans in there, and some bulgur wheat. Lots of bulgur wheat in there, I felt like yesterday. And maybe a little bit of tomato in there as well. But some wonderful ingredients. I've talked a lot about the Mega Veggie Chili and how it is one of my favorite meals that we end up having now. There's another photo of it there. Carrie made, when she makes Mega Veggie Chili, she makes a pretty large quantity of food. And because some things have changed with work, I'm eating at work more now than I used to be, and Carrie's also eating at work, and so our bowls are getting displaced. I end up taking a bowl of oatmeal with me to work, and then I don't bring the bowl home, so now we don't have our normal bowls. And the only bowl that we had yesterday when I had gotten home that wasn't a kid's sized bowl was a couple of large bowls. And when I scooped my food into the bowl, you can't really tell how big the bowl is here, but it didn't fill the bowl up very much, but it was still a very large amount of Mega Veggie Chili. And I started eating it, and I don't know exactly what it was about yesterday's version of Mega Veggie Chili. I really enjoyed it. It was something about the texture or the flavor just seemed to be even better than normal. I think Carrie felt the same way when she ate it as well. But yeah, I went crazy on that last night and ate a huge bowl of it, and then had another probably half serving of that bowl of more, just because I really enjoyed it. And I've been kind of changing my diet, and I'm snacking a bit less, and so I'm trying to eat more at the meals. And I talked a little bit about it yesterday with the polenta that we made, that I would have absolutely eaten more of that had we had more of it available to eat. And I'm trying to eat more of these meals too. I do have, I've been eating the shredded wheat, and I probably should get away from eating the shredded wheat and eating more of the actual food at dinner will help keep me from needing to, or feeling like I need to, supplement that bulk with that I am, that I feel like I'm doing when I have the shredded wheat. So that was dinner last night, mega veggie chili. I know I had a banana before bed, and a couple oranges. The bag of oranges we have right now are amazing, so I've been kind of grabbing a couple of those and eating them. I did not mean to do that. And then breakfast this morning was oatmeal. If you've been following along with our oatmeal, you know that we eat a savory oatmeal, which is generally it's generally oat groats and steel cut oats. We do a 50-50 mix of those oats. Then we have onions, mushrooms, and spinach in our oats. We did not have any spinach this morning, so we substituted the spinach. We actually put zucchini in it instead of spinach, and I enjoyed it just as much as I do the spinach oatmeal. But if you're paying attention, you can see the little chunks of zucchini in there versus the leaves of spinach that's normally in our food. And today, Carrie was at work here, and so we kind of sat down and had lunch together, and just a simple, very large baked potato with a good amount of steamed broccoli cut up and mixed into it. And I really like it. Nothing fancy about it. It's kind of funny. Carrie made a comment about everybody was commenting on how good our food smelled, and our food was literally just Instapot baked potatoes and steamed broccoli. But a few people had made comments to her about how good the food smelled. So I thought that was interesting, because it's really one of the most simple meals that you could make, and most people would not consider it to be their first choice. If you wrote a list of different food options and potatoes and broccoli was one of them, that would not necessarily be somebody's first choice when it comes to that. So that is the food photos from the last 24 hours. I've been feeling amazing on this diet, this reset. Talked a little bit about it yesterday. I always forget how good I feel, a week in or as I'm in it. The having that, I've lost about 10 pounds in the last 10 days. So that having that 10 pounds off is kind of noticeable. It's not like it's the difference between getting winded or not, but just having it off is noticeable. And a big reason why I feel like it is noticeable is because a lot of that weight is in fluid retention and inflammation that you're gonna feel in your joints, and it goes away so rapidly. To have that much kind of come off in the last 10 days is a crazy amount of weight. And I know a huge amount of it is because of the inflammation and the fluid retention that is dissipating because I'm sticking to my clean, whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. The other thing about the diet too is that it's extremely satisfying. Last night I ate an incredible volume of food, like I mentioned, and they really are the flavors in the food is just amazing. And I think it's neat with some of these things where a recipe like last night's mega veggie chili tasted a little bit different than it did before. Um as weird as it is, I think a big part of that is the elimination of the salt and the sugar, because those things kind of level out flavor. So they make things just taste salty. And so they give things that consistent flavor. So even if that thing you were eating tastes a little bit better than the last time you had it, when you salt it, it kind of evens it out. And then the last time when you had it, when that fruit or vegetable or whatever you ate maybe wasn't as tasty without salt, when the salt was added to it, it improved the flavor. But I'd have to say that it's one of the things that has surprised me the most about this diet is the idea of one piece of fruit or one vegetable having a different taste from the one next to it. And with some fruits, that's more apparent, like oranges, where you can have one orange that's good and the next one's not so good. Apples, it's less apparent, and it's more in the variety, where you have one variety of apple you enjoy, but one variety that you don't enjoy. But then there's things like the bananas, they all seem consistent. It's all about the ripeness of the banana. I wouldn't necessarily have ever said prior to this that I had one banana that tasted better than another banana. And I I think that it's interesting that food has different flavors. Food of the same type has different flavors, like two apples. And I'm noticing those differences in flavors now. That and I notice them in weird places too, like onion. I feel like sometimes I'll have red onion and it'll taste like a normal red onion. And then sometimes I'll have red onion and it'll taste different. And usually it tastes better. Like I'll be like, I really like the taste of that red onion in this time, you know? And maybe it's because food, when you eat such processed food, like I was eating before, the whole goal of the processing company is to create a consistency. But I never really would have thought too much about one chicken breast tasting better than another chicken breast. I would have looked at them in terms of volume, or maybe there might have been some other factor, like with a beef cut, you could look at the fattiness of it. But yeah, like I said, it's one of the more surprising things for me with this diet, where I've and I guess I have mentioned it before, is sometimes with these bags of oranges, I feel like they're like the French fries that I used to get at the fast food restaurants. In that when you order the French fries, you can have a general idea of what they're going to taste like based on the restaurant you're going to, but there's always that chance you're going to get that bad batch of fries. Either they were undersalted or oversalted, they were undercooked or overcooked, they sat under the heat lamp for too long. There's a million things that could make a sack of fries go bad or be bad when you go to a fast food restaurant. And I definitely picked up that oranges can kind of somewhat be that way. You can go and grab a bag of oranges from the grocery store and they can just be a bad batch. Um, so that, like I said, is just kind of a long, kind of winded version talking about last night's dinner. Anna said yes, and I'm absolutely the same way. There may be bad fries, but there's still none left in the bag when I get finished. Absolutely. That's great. Uh, the um, yeah. So I've just with the Mega Veggie chili last night, it was just nice that it tasted a little bit better. And sometimes that happens, or that probably happens more for me with the salads that we have, that there's some ingredient in the salad. The cucumber is especially ripe or tasty, or the carrot, or the um oh, there's the one ingredient that I was thinking about while I even gave the example about salads. The corn, the carrots, there's cucumber, the spinach, the red onion. That's the one I was missing. So, um, and a big part of being able to taste those flavors, I think, is the elimination of the salt, because the salt leveled out all of the food before, and it may have made foods that were less enjoyable more enjoyable, but it took some of those more enjoyable foods and maybe knocked them down a little bit and made them less enjoyable as they would have been. So, um, that like I said, has been a surprise about this food. For me, has kind of always been consistently the same flavor. You know, it's every chip in the bag of potato chips, it tastes about the same, or every, you know, hot dog out of the hot dog package tastes the same, and that's the goal of the manufacturer. The other thing I wanted to talk about that I kind of stopped talking about the mile run stuff earlier, was I started listening to a new book. Uh, I had asked for some suggestions. I think it had been suggested in the past, but a couple people had suggested looking at the book Atomic Habits. And it is, I don't even know who it's written by because I wasn't paying that close of attention. Atomic Habits is written by James Clear. And somebody had suggested it. Another person had said, you know, that they thought it was a good book. So I went to Audible to see if it was available on Audible. I kind of assumed it was, and I was correct, because when I checked Audible, it was actually already in our library. Carrie had downloaded the book or purchased the book in the past and just had not listened to it or listened to all of it. So when I checked and saw that it was already in my library, I figured, why not go ahead and hit play and check it out. The book, I'm only like 30 minutes into the book, but I really like everything about it so far. I am a big fan of some of the things he talks about. The book starts out just kind of giving his history of what got him to be at this point, and a little bit of, you know, like, why should you listen to me? What have I done to deserve anybody paying attention? He's taught thousands and thousands of people to develop better habits. And a couple of the takeaways that I got from the just little bit of the book that I've listened to so far that I really like is, the one big one is that you to focus on the systems and not the goals. There's lots of people that all have similar goals. Like in his example, it's, you know, there's lots of kids that want to play Major League Baseball. they have that goal. My goal is to play Major League Baseball. And there's two kids standing next to each other, and that's their goal. But one of the kids' systems to play Major League Baseball is to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and go do a cardio workout and then go to the batting cage and bat for an hour. And then after school to go to the field and do some more fielding practice, and then eat dinner and then go to bed. And that's their system that they've started to work on, or that's their system for getting to the major leagues, to becoming a pro baseball player. And then the other kid, his system currently to get into the pro league is to wake up late, rush out of the house eating a donut as he catches the bus, go to school, maybe go work out after school, but likely just go to his friend's house and play video games and then eat dinner and go to bed. They both have the same goal, but one of the two is more likely to become a professional baseball player. And it's the one that has the system in place that is going to get him there. So I thought that was a great point. And it kind of helped me kind of look at the past 11 months and be like, well, yes, or actually the past 22 months, the first 11 months where all my systems were focused on losing weight, and it was, 2 meals a day, and I had a routine, and this is what it was. And then the last 11 months, I've let those systems slip and I let other things come in, and that can cause an issue with, success. So like I said, a big takeaway I've taken from the first part of the book is to look at what your goal is, but then what are you putting into practice to reach that goal? Because you can't just have the goal and then hope that it happens. Carrie says, "Woo, I almost missed you. Happy Friday." Yes, happy Friday. I hope you're having a great afternoon. The other kind of neat takeaway that I got from the book is how making little changes can be more beneficial than making big changes. And it's all about consistency, and it's about what you're able to maintain as well. There's lots of people that are gonna get up in the morning, or they're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna start a diet and I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna run a mile in the morning, and then after work I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bike for 5 miles. And they're going, from where I was, 520 pounds sitting on a couch, and then say, every day I'm going to go run a 5K. Let's just say that. You set these huge goals and you go out and you try to do it, and maybe you get the 5K done the first day or the second day, but then the third day you're wiped out, and then you find an excuse not to go, and then you're still recovering on day 4, and then it's been 2 days since you ran, and and then you talk yourself out of it. And but if you would have just said, instead of running a 5K, you just did like, hey, I'm gonna walk for 10 minutes, or even 5 minutes. Then on day 2, you just walk for 5 or 10 minutes and you can do it. And then day 3, you walk for 5 or 10 minutes. Whereas the other system you did, you quit on day 3. And then day 4, you walk for 5 or 10 minutes. The other way, you're still not doing it because you're recovering from kicking your own butt, And so by making those little changes, you're more likely to be able to do them, and to do them consistently. And then also by just changing your trajectory by that 1 degree today can make a huge difference 370 days from now, or 1,095 days from now. You can be in a completely different spot just because you moved 1 degree to the left 3 years ago. And I really think that gets overlooked, especially with diet. I think that a lot of us decide to get into this exercise routine and we're just going to kick our own butts to lose the weight. And then you burn out and you can't maintain it. And he talks about with these habits that they expound on each other too. It's, you make that little change on day 1 and then, you keep doing it through day 2 and then through to day 20, and it grows. Like your proficiency at doing those things gets better, so you can get faster, so that, that maybe instead of adding 1 new task to your day, you're able to add 2 new tasks, because when you first did that new task, it took you 20 minutes to do it. But now that you've done it every day for 4 months, you can do that in 10 minutes. So then you can start looking at, well, now I have another 10 minutes. Maybe I can put another task in there, and you can build off of it. But it's not like you're throwing, all right, I got to put 10 more tasks on my plate today. You have to work into it. It's not something you're just going to become great at it. And I see that, like I said, or I gave the example earlier when I was talking about working with my son with the mile. I see it with him. He's gone from no frame of reference on how to run any type of distance. And it was very much a run as hard as you can until you can't run anymore, and then walk for as short a period of time as you can, and then start running again. And that is, I think, how a lot of people diet. You diet as hard as you can until you can't anymore, and then you go back to the way you were. And then you try to get back going, but a lot of times you can't get back going. Where if you can say, okay, I don't have to do this lap in, or I can run this lap in 25 seconds if I run as fast as I can. But I don't need to run the lap that fast to get done in the time I want. If I run the lap in 35 seconds, I can still get done in the time, under the time that I wanted to get done in. And so I don't have to push myself extremely hard when I can. You have to hold back a little bit. And I don't think people hold back with diets a little bit. And that was one of the things that I honestly did a little bit. I can't say, I fasted. So that was pretty extreme with my dieting. But as far as physical activity, I have not pushed myself physically, because I have seen myself fail so many times at physical diets, like trying to lose diet through physical activity. I have failed many times over the years because I thought that was the solution. And then a few years back, a few years back, maybe as far as 8 years ago, I was like, I'm done with this trying to lose weight on a treadmill and an elliptical machine. I need to fix my food. And it's taken me 8 years to fix my food. Sonia says, systems, not goals. It actually comes from Scott Adams. James C. from Atomic Habits does give him credit in the book. You are right. And then you said you might like Scott's book as well, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. It's not a great diet book, but good for life. Yeah, and I'm not expecting this Atomic Habits to be a great diet book. I don't know that it is diet related at all. I imagine you were talking about the other one though, the How to Fail. I think that it's really cool. I've already really had a lot of introspective thoughts based off of the first half hour that I've listened to this book. So I'm looking forward to finishing this, and then that other one might be something that I look into reading, because this is 100% about habits, losing the weight, getting better diet habits. And it's always been about habits. Like, I knew it's been about habits. I, uh, I think maybe I let it get away from me a little bit, but now I'm getting that back. But that was the whole point of me deciding to do a 3-year challenge, was about making sure that I was doing something long enough to make it a habit. And whether that, like, when I started this, I never anticipated to eat the same diet all the way through, because I didn't know anything about the diet I'm eating now. And I haven't really actually technically eaten, I've eaten a plant-based diet. I don't even know I've eaten a vegan diet, mostly plant-based diet. But anyways, it was about making, creating habits, and getting to my goal by making life changes, and not just by making temporary changes, because there's so many times where I've lost a couple pounds, or 20 or 30 pounds, making these temporary changes that were never life changes. And they, it's something where it seems cliche when people say, it's lifestyle changes, or you have to make a lifestyle change, but it truly is quite a lifestyle change that I feel like many people need to adopt to get into a healthy spot. And if you want that new lifestyle to stick, you have to do it for a long time. I mean, I did it for 10 months and I still didn't get it to stick. I mean, it stuck around and it's coming back, but it wasn't bulletproof, and it never will be bulletproof. And that is going to be also, something that I have to realize, or learn, I guess, on my own, or I am learning. So, so I'm enjoying the book. I am doing great on the diet, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. We have a few things to do. I need to work constantly, always working. So I might try to get some work in this weekend, but nothing major coming up that I have to worry about too much. And but with that, I am going to go for today. I appreciate everybody who has been following along, who has been giving me advice, recommending books, and just sharing your own experiences too. I really, I suppose, we had made a joke, or I made a joke, the last weekend we were at this vegan potluck, and I had thanked the lady that had hosted the event. And at some point I made a joke about, I've never met a vegan before, so it was nice to have this event, like, as a joke. Cause, I mean, my brother's a vegan, and so it's not true, but it's such a rare thing for somebody to eat a vegan diet that it was an appropriate joke. Everybody laughed. Nobody's a vegan, 1% of the population. Even smaller percentage of the population eats a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. And if I didn't have this channel, and if I had not gone on Chef AJ's show, really, ultimately, I would not have realized how many people there are actually out there eating this way. And you've been doing it for years. And it really encourages me and makes me realize that it is something that I can do and I can maintain my whole life, because um, I've talked about this before too, but I didn't really like, I guess I'm learning about, I'm feeling the same way about the whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free as I used to feel about the veganism. Before I became, before I started this channel and I started eating this way, I knew what veganism was and I understood that people went vegan, but I always kind of thought it was a fad diet, that people just did it while they were younger for a period of time, but they would outgrow it, or it wasn't maintainable for a lifetime because you had to have meat. That was my mentality before starting this diet. And now, after starting this diet, I've realized that, oh my God, there's thousands and tens of thousands of people living their whole lives, or their whole adult lives, or their whole lives. They get to choose what they get to eat, or even half their lives, or the end of their lives, but huge portions of their lives as vegans, and they're thriving and they're not having any issues. I think maybe I felt the same way about a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, like that it's not maintainable, that it's not something that people do forever. And so me having met like the comments, I can tell that there's a few of you out there that are awesome at sticking to it. And I want to be as good as you guys are. So I appreciate you guys following along anyways. And I will be back on Monday. If you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. There's nothing coming up this weekend that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody gets to their goals and wishes they would have waited. Everybody who reaches their goals looks back and says, I wished I would have started sooner. I'm the same way. I'm not to my goals, and I wish I would have started sooner too, because I'd be that much further along, you know? So I appreciate all you guys. If you get a chance, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click on that bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And I will see you on Monday.